Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Daily News hosted by yours truly, Mr. Faceless Samurai. We're changing the format a little bit today. I realized that doing this in my car every day means I have the news from the day before, which means that by the time it's online, it's kind of old news because everything moves so fast in the gaming sphere. So I decided to change the format, and today we're doing this from the comfort of my basement and just by before the end of the day, so that way we're able to capture as much stuff as possible and get you guys up to date with all the latest news in the gaming industry. So let's get the ball rolling. First news comes from the Multiversus director. So the Warner Brothers developed Smash Brothers look-alike. Basically, he says that data miners do a disservice to the players. So he's not really happy that people are data mining the game and pulling information from upcoming characters. So that it means that the announcements that they're gonna do are pretty much all spoiled before they happen, and it hinders their vision and how they feel like the work that they put in to make sure that everything comes out as they have planned, which is something that's quite prevalent in the game industry. So I can get his point on this. Obviously, although this isn't gonna stop, so I'm guessing they just have to figure out a way to make things a bit better in that matter. Second big news, if you have been following the Amico situation, well, I guess this is good news for them because Atari has acquired the Intellivision brand and it includes apparently the Amico project, which means that we might actually see this console get out at some point, which I was kind of hyped for it initially. It's like old school stuff and I kind of like that those weird consoles that people put out, so I had some interest into it, but it seems like they were pretty much scamming us in the end. So maybe being owned by someone legitimate will actually make this a somewhat successful product. Up next, Neil Druckmann was interviewed and he says he's finally working on this dream project and that or actually that he's been lucky to work on several dream projects, but that this next one apparently is going to be the most thrilling. He says that there's a growing appreciation in the gaming sphere due to all the gaming shows and stuff and all this, like bridging between gamers and non-gamers. And he thinks that the shows, like The Last of Us, of course, have illustrated the rich immersive experience that the games have to offer, and that it gets him excited for his next project, as he thinks he will capture a much more global audience. With the Summer Game Fest coming up soon, we have more announcements, and Devolver has announced that their Devolver Direct is going to be happening on June 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. So expect tons of new reveals. It's always good because a lot of stuff is announced, including stuff that's coming to more often than not Game Pass as well as a PS Plus. It's always interesting to see what you're going to be able to play from the good folks at Devolver Digital. Black Ops 6, we were all expecting it anyway, but yeah, pretty much been officially revealed now. So we have a title and we have a logo, and all the publicity stunts, everything going on are still like all the hype is gonna keep going until the apparent release date of October 25th, which we'll probably have confirmed pretty shortly at the direct from Microsoft. In more sad news, what not unexpected from the Embracer Group, the Alone in the Dark reboot unfortunately failed to meet expectations, and that means that the number of units sold was like really low, and the game didn't make back its budget. So, from what I understand, half the team has been unfortunately let go, and I think they're up now to what 3,500 people or actually more laid off since the restructuration. Although they said that the restructuration is done, and then we shouldn't expect any more layoffs for the time being. Up next, from Jez Gordon at Windows Central, we have some speculation as to what we're going to see at the Microsoft Showcase on June 9th. So, according to him, according to trusted sources, State of Decay 3 is going to be a lot more impressive than the predecessor, which is, I guess, to be expected as it's, I believe, running on the Unreal Engine 5 and it's been really optimized and made better with the help of the Coalition, which is pretty much they are the experts on Unreal Engine 5 in terms of like Microsoft Studios, and they've been supporting all of the studios all around. So expecting really good stuff out of that game visually, which is something that was lacking in the predecessors, right? And apparently a lot more narrative elements in the game world. They're trying to make the community members to have much more backstory, so you kind of care more about them, as previously it was just random people, so it makes more sense. I guess they're focusing more on the story aspect, and they really want it to be more impactful and more immersive. Um, Gears of War 6 is apparently also supposed to be on the showcase itself, and that's going to be pretty a looker, expecting to be one of the most beautiful, most impressive games visually of the generation, considering what the Coalition has done with previous titles. Also expect more of Perfect Dark as well as Contraband, which we haven't heard of for quite some time, and all we've seen anyway for those two projects are CGI, like cinematics. So can't wait to see what the gameplay looks like, especially Perfect Dark, as we haven't had one since the launch of the Xbox 360 actually. So it's been quite a while. Uh, New surprises, something that we are, or at least that's been leaked by several people now, is that apparently we might get a new Blue Dragon. So people are said to be excited if you're an Xbox 360 RPG fan, and lots of people posting pictures of Blue Dragons online. So I mean, there's only one title that this refers to. So really hoping for something new, although maybe a remaster would be interesting for some people. And apparently Iron Galaxy is back as well on the Killer Instinct bandwagon. So I know they're not the initial developer, that was Double Helix, but they did a really great job with Season 2 and Season 3. So to get a new Killer Instinct is a pretty cool thing. Now, I know there's people are wondering what's going to happen with all the multi-platform stuff because we're also expecting Doom Year Zero at the showcase. Although I believe that we're probably going to be seeing mostly like Xbox announced stuff and then maybe in press releases afterwards which titles are multi-platform and which ones are not. I mean, I'm not expecting that many, mostly like the Bethesda stuff, like Doom would make sense because it was previously released on other platforms. So I'm expecting most titles to be announced as exclusive or at least timed exclusive. Killer Instinct is one of those games that I think could make sense as a multi-platform title, just because you want to reach as many people as possible. But I know the FGC has moved on to the PC quite a lot in the last few years. Like Street Fighter 6 has had good success there, and I believe someone at least looked at all the numbers and they determined that the PC platform was the biggest one for Tekken. That is the latest one, so could make sense for Microsoft to just focus on Xbox and PC initially, and then maybe expand to PS5 and Switch 2 and the future. Fragbite Group, never heard of them, but they're filing for bankruptcy as their internal development studio, Fall Damage, unfortunately hasn't been able to deliver on their game Alara Prime, which was apparently a free-to-play 4 versus 4 shooter. They struggled to sign a publisher for the game and will unfortunately have to close before we even get to see the game. I mean, market's pretty much saturated with that type of stuff, so I'm not surprised, honestly, that they had a hard time, especially in this economy right now. So really bad timing for them, unfortunately. Really weird news, but Sony has shared a video of a weird futuristic PlayStation controller that has like holograms and stuff. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, if that's really what they're expecting to make. But anyway, they shared their vision for all their future plans, how they plan to expand in the future with their IPs and stuff. So, I mean, if you have the chance, you might as well go and watch the video. Lots of interesting stuff in there if you really want to be able to see everything and the details as to what to be expecting from Sony in the next 10 years or so, at least what their vision is for the future. Now, funny news, but always interesting if you're a speedrunner or if you enjoy speedruns, but the first ever recorded speedrun of Super Mario 64 without ever using the A button has just happened. I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing yet, so I'm quite interesting to see how that happens. I mean, there must be a lot of magic going on or a lot of planning to get that to happen or make it happen. But it's called the Super Mario 64 A Button Challenge, so ABC, and it has apparently a very complicated history going back all the way to the early 2000s. And yeah, like I mean, some guy like on Twitch, I believe, made that happen. So I'll have a look at that video for sure because that sounds quite interesting. Now, a bit of sales news. Tomb Raider 3 or 1 to 3 remastered, a game that was quite received by critics alike and the gamers. Really good port, honestly. If you own it wherever you own it, actually, I know on PC it runs pretty much with the same minimum requirements as back in the day. This thing can run at 4K, 120 hertz, like no problem. And even on consoles, I think it's like 4K 60 FPS. And you can play with the new graphics or the old one, so it's all good. And yeah, apparently it sold above expectations, so that's quite nice. I mean, I'm happy about that kind of stuff because it makes a new generation enjoy those games, and it means that we might get more titles to be remastered this way, which I think is the way to go. You know, it's like minimal like changes to controls and to the graphics. It just makes you experience the original, but like on newer hardware, which is always nice. Because well, no games are sometimes, I mean, this isn't the case with these specifically, but I know some games sometimes are like lost to old hardware, so it's always nice to bring them back and have new people enjoy them. And I know that the physical versions are still coming up for those games. If you haven't, or if you're one of those people that doesn't want to buy digital, well, at least you'll get your chance to own it physically in the near future. And we'll end this with two little pieces of news. The first one is that Relic Entertainment, which has sold off, I think, by Sega not too long ago, has secured financing. And last little tidbit before I let you guys go, the title X Defiant from Ubisoft, which was just released this week with lots of server troubles, apparently, because I haven't even tried it yet. I wanted to, but I was stuck on Hellblade 2, so I'm keeping that for the weekend. But apparently, it hit 1 million unique players within the first 2.5 hours. So 1 million unique different players in the first 2.5 hours, which apparently is quite a feat. If you look at Apex Legends, I think it hit that number in like 8 hours or so. So this is quite impressive, and they had like at some point apparently up to 300,000 concurrent players at the same time. And after 48 hours, they hit like 3 million unique players. So this is quite impressive for a brand new title. Apparently, gameplay looks a lot like a Call of Duty, so it looks like a very interesting and fun title, and it goes across the whole Ubisoft universe. You know, you have characters from the Division, from the Splinter Cell titles, from Watch Dogs and the like. So really interesting. I mean, it's free to play, so it doesn't cost you anything to at least try it out. Very similar, like fast-paced gameplay to Call of Duty, and it's still in the preseason, so you can get used to the controls and everything else before they actually start with the season passes, so you can get a feel for the game, you know, and see if it's your type of game or not. And with that, that will be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoy it and kept you up to date with all the latest and greatest and the gaming sphere. So if you guys enjoyed, as usual, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what I can make better. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.